This video is brought to you by Sporlan, quality, integrity, and tradition. It's nice, early Sunday morning. It's about 6:40 a.m. Nobody on the freeway. Just casually doing 70, nice and easy, nobody around me. That's how traffic should always be. Could you imagine? Just imagine. We have a service call today on a kitchen AC. Now this AC needs to be replaced. It's like trashed, okay? I know from history, I believe the board is bypassed in the unit, the heating board, I think, like this thing's trashed. But they want to know if there's anything I can do just to get it operational. It's in the works to do a roof sweep here to replace multiple ACs, but it's going to be a while before that all gets approved, the city involved and all that stuff. So they want to know if there's anything we can do, so we're going to check this AC out. But they pretty much need a roof sweep here. They've got all 4 of their units that are just same age, just trashed, multiple ACs, need to be replaced. So this one too, and this one. So, you know, they got a lot of stuff. So they're going to end up changing 4 ACs here, but there's a lot of logistics and problems with that. But let's get to this AC at hand. It sounds like it just turned on. The first thing I did was go down to the thermostats and turn on all the ACs from the thermostats. I told them I'd just make sure all their ACs are working, but I'm gonna go through this one. So that way I proved that the thermostat works, right? Then once I've ensured that both stages came on from the thermostat, I can use jumpers for the rest of the time. All right, not only, so both stages came on. Both compressors are running, both contactors are pulled in for the for the compressors and the indoor blower motor. So we know the thermostat works. You can see heating's disconnected, the gas is turned off, so heat doesn't work. The next thing before we evaluate pressures or anything is we need to check to see if the belt's tight, the filters are clean, all that stuff. Now I'm gonna tell you something, this AC, they've got more variables here than meets the eye, okay? They have 2 makeup air units that have been shut off for 15 years, so you can't turn them on because the ducts are full of dust and stuff. But not only that, the reason why they turned them off was they had an air balance company come through, and I don't know, it's like a long story, but they basically shut down all the makeup air units, slowed down the exhaust fans, opened up the outside air dampers on the AC, and this building runs extremely negative. So again, none of it makes sense, but that's what's going on, okay? So we can't just turn these on. So they get all their makeup air from the AC, hence why the outside air damper is open. So the filters do look dirty. They were changed in April, but look at it, they're basically running 100% outside air. So no wonder this AC is not gonna work. That's a huge thing too. Okay, open this up. Belt is a little on the loose side. There's not another good belt. This is a used belt. So we're gonna have to tighten this up. So we've got some nuts on each side of this rod. And if you adjust them accordingly, you can push the rod down, which is going to increase the tension. So basically we're going to loosen the top one a bunch, and then thread this nut on the bottom right here, right there, in a way that it pulls the rod down and increases tension on the motor. So I'm going to get that tightened up, and then after that, we're going to probe up on this guy and see what we can figure out. This guy all snugged up, nice and good, everything's back. I just got to tighten the motor bolts because you also have to loosen the motor bolts. So I need to tighten those back up, and then we'll be ready to put this panel on and finish troubleshooting. Another thing is something that I can do, because this guy has an outside air damper and it's open really wide. I can actually close that down, but when I close it down, we're gonna mess up the air balance, right? But this restaurant just got a new cooking appliance, and they got rid of a gas-fired conveyor belt oven, and they went to basically a giant air fryer. Like, it's a turbo chef, basically. It's an electric oven, right? So the heat load is significantly reduced. So this exhaust fan is moving way too much air. So I can actually dramatically slow down this exhaust fan and decrease the negative air pressure on the building, and thus decrease the required outside air of the building. So that is probably something we're going to be doing today to try to be able to close these dampers a little bit to reduce the amount of outside air we need for this building. All right, before I probe up, again, I know that the AC has a lot of bad problems. That condenser's trashed. I'm going to try as best as I can to straighten out the fins. Now, it's not going to be perfect, but before I do that, I'm gonna do my best to split this condenser. Now I'm a little hesitant to do it because I don't want to cause a leak, being as fragile as this thing is, but I need to see that inner condenser. I need to at least see it. So we gotta pop this top off. Sometimes you can prop these up, but I don't like how much they bend. That's from someone trying to prop it. They get jacked up, but I really need to see down into here. So I'm gonna do my best. I might have to pull the condenser fan motors. I wanna see that inner condenser to see how dirty it is. Because again, I'm trying to do anything I can to get them some cooling. Like I said, we're replacing all these ACs, but it's hot and they need something, so. All right, I mean, this thing's just trashed, but you can even see the evaporator's trashed. Look at that thing. Someone has this screw running through here to hold them together. Like, I get what they were doing, but they had to bend this out of the way to get it, which means I have to bend it. This is what I'm worried about, man. Every time you do that, you're potentially gonna cause a leak. It doesn't look horrible in here, but I've got this far. I'm gonna go ahead and clean it. Very conscious about my rope and my hoses. Try not to get them dirty, so I wrap it up and then always leave a piece down there because I end up going downstairs, grabbing something, and then needing a rope to get it up, you know, when I'm done. So, got about everything I need over here. Water turned on and ran, so now it's time to get this thing rinsed off. Got the condenser rinsed. Now I'm still gonna try to straighten out the fins a little bit, but you can see like there was quite a bit of dirt over here. You guys couldn't see, but I washed out all that came out of this side. So that's cool. But the interesting thing is, check out this drain pan.
So I just pulled the P-trap off because it's solid dirt down in there. So I'm gonna get that rinsed out real quick. The evaporator's not as bad on this side, but I'm gonna get that dirt rinsed out. Sometimes I get a bit carried away, but I can't help but think that I'm gonna get this AC potentially, possibly working a little bit, and then we're gonna have water leak issues. So we need to get rid of all that mud. So yeah, look at that ductwork, man. It's trash down in there. It's nasty. All right, well, let's keep going. This is insane. So that's what it should look like, but it's completely impacted all the way up. It's freaking nuts. I'm just doing a little bit at a time and all this stuff's coming out of the drain pan. All right, so I keep a towel down here because every once in a while you get some drips and that keeps it from going down there. Minimal water got down into the duct. This guy is like night and day. It's not perfect, but holy moly, you can actually see the bottom of the drain pan now. You guys can't see it, but I can see light through the coil. So the coil is relatively clean. Now we're gonna try to put this thing back together if possible, because good grief. What did I do? When you're assembling these condensers back, I like to use a zip tie instead of a screw. So we're just about done. We're gonna get that screwed in, got all the side put back on, and then we're gonna work on combing these fins out. But the top's gonna be the hardest part because it's much easier when they're not 6 feet off the ground. Okay, all back together, units back up and running. Condenser fan motors are both running. I made sure both the capacitors were good before I put them back in. They were. One of them was 9.9 and one of them was 10 microfarads. So we're good on that. We're all probed up. We'll put the cover on. We're gonna have a wet evaporator and wet condenser, so it's gonna take a bit for everything to dry out. So we're gonna put this cover on, let it run for a bit, and I'm gonna work on straightening out the condenser. You can't straighten this. Look at, the fins are so messed up that they're just falling apart when I try to, it's just disintegrating. So it is what it is. That ain't getting any better. We can try over here, but I don't think it's gonna be any better. This is really bad over here. Nope. Yeah, it's not any better. So it's moving air, but that's all that they're gonna get onto this one. So I'm gonna let the system stabilize out. Let's see what we're looking like now. 36 PSI, 14 degree saturation temp. Subcooling's not that bad considering. Actually, it's not that bad on that one either. So we're gonna let it run. We're gonna let the condenser dry out. You can look at the liquid line and then scroll over and look at the outdoor air temp. If the liquid line is below the outdoor air temp, you've more than likely got a wet condenser. So it's still drying out. So let's look at this one. Outdoor air temp on this one, 77, liquid line 73. So more than likely, we have a wet condenser still, so we're gonna let this run for a bit. All right, here's where we're at. The first stage is the best of the two. Still not great. As it stands, look at this guy. We have 40 degrees compressor superheat, so that compressor is overheating, or potentially gonna overheat. We have a 30 degree suction saturation temperature, 24 degrees subcooling. Now that subcooling number is not really accurate because we're using discharge pressure. My personal experience with this particular unit, the discharge pressure to the liquid line pressure has about a 35 PSI pressure drop, give or take, okay, not always. And so with that being said, we're using discharge pressure because there is no liquid pressure port on this. So our subcooling is actually gonna be a lower number, and I'll calculate that in a minute. Now let's look at our second stage. Second stage, the evaporator is 20, wait, no, that's not right. Give it a second. There we go, much better. 22 degree suction saturation or evaporator temp, right? 28 degrees subcooling using discharge pressure, 54 degrees compressor superheat. So you can see these units definitely have restrictions. And if I pull the panel, I can show you too, okay? So let me pull it real quick and I'll show you the inside. And you can see, as I go in here, if I look back here, those are the actuator metering devices on the evaporator, and they're frosting up because they're restricted. So you got multiple actuators on each evaporator. The first stage is doing it too. So they're in bad shape. I'm gonna go ahead and put a little bit of gas in both of these, but I gotta be careful because I don't wanna put too much just to try to get that saturation temp up. But by putting gas in there, we're stacking it in the condenser, reducing the capacity. So it's a give and take, but we also don't want this thing to freeze up. It's like a catch-22. So we're doing everything we can for this. Second stage, I calculate that I'm at about 18 degrees subcooling right now. So I did the math and everything. So that's as much gas as I want to put in that one. So we're gonna switch over to the first stage, put a little gas in there. The highest I can get my evaporator is 24 degrees, but I don't want to go any higher on the subcooling. So Measure Quick's calling for approximately 10 degrees subcooling. So we're doing everything we can to keep the evaporator from freezing up, but with the restriction, they're having a hard time. So I ended up getting the second stage to about 18 degrees subcooling. This one I got to about 17 degrees. We're right at the threshold of everything. That's as much gas as I want to put in this thing. The evaporator's right at freezing. Let's see what our total unit delivered capacity is. Looks like, we're underperforming, so we're right at about 73,000 BTU, 75, somewhere in there. And, we should be at about 83. So this unit is absolutely doing everything that it can. Can't really get any more out of it. It has lived its life, it's done. So I'm gonna take everything off, wrap it up, talk to the customer, and like I said, they've already told us that we can go ahead and order units, but it's a matter, there's a lot more logistics into just ordering AC units here. I can't go into the crazy details, but it has a lot to do with the parking lot and the landlord, and it's just a disaster. So we're gonna get to it hopefully before the summer, and we're gonna be doing a roof sweep here. So that's it for this one. I service a lot of restaurants, okay? And everybody wants us to save the day, like that. And we can only do so much. I'm only a certain size company, and that's a very small company, okay? So I can't just spend a week on a single project trying to coordinate all the details and figure everything out. We can only do things in little pieces at a time. Of course, I'd love to expand and get bigger in a way, but then also on the flip side, I don't want to be too big. I don't want to grow too fast. I want to grow and make sure that there's no potential that I'm going to have to lay off employees and stuff. So we're currently in the process. I just hired 2 apprentices and they're doing great, and we're working our way through. And, eventually when those apprentices become journeymen, then we can start and grow a little bit more. But I've had a difficult time hiring experienced people. So I found the best thing is to hire apprentices and train them from the ground up, because then they don't have bad habits. Now, that's where I'm at right now. Who knows? Maybe I'll do things differently in the future, but I've had some bad experiences hiring experienced people. And to be fair, it's not necessarily just the technician's fault. It's my own fault, because when you hire out of desperation, you tend to overlook some things or deal with some things. Anyways, we wiped the slate clean. We're working our way back up. We're going to get back up into, the levels we need to be in hopefully soon. Obviously, this summer is going to be hell, but once we get through this summer, then we'll be okay. It is June 21st right now, and we're slowly working our way into this summer. It's just starting to warm up. We're getting busier and busier. So this call, this was a frustrating one, because, I've been wanting to change that equipment for a long time. But again, I wish I could go into the details, but it's a logistical nightmare, okay? Bottom line, the parking lot is a parking structure, okay? So that just intensifies everything. The complexity behind this job is just ridiculous, okay? Cranes can't park on parking structures, so then you get, it gets crazy. So anyways, I did what I could. I did the best with what they have. We need to do a roof sweep. We need to get all new equipment up there. We need to get some new makeup air units and or rebuild those makeup air units. You guys have been watching my videos. You watched some recent ones. You saw where I did an air balance, a rough air balance on a building. You notice this one has the same makeup air units. The same thing happened at this building. It happened with a lot of their restaurants, actually all of their restaurants. Their newer restaurants are designed without makeup air units, but the older ones had them, and someone came in and decided that, you know, they wanted to save them some energy, but the cost of saving energy ends up costing them a lot more money these days. So it is what it is. But, you know, that was a thing from like 15 years ago. They've been operating that way, pulling in all the outside air through the ACs, which just ruined the ACs, caused them to run high discharge temps all the time. See, because here's the thing that people don't understand. The whole air conditioner works as a giant, it's a package, right? It all works together. It's a package unit. So if you are pulling in 100% outside air through the evaporator, right? Through the filters going into the evaporator, these do not have pressure limiting expansion valves on them, right? This has a fixed orifice metering device, which is even worse, but your load is going to increase, which is going to drive up your suction pressure, which is going to drive up your head pressure. Then add on top of that dirty condensers and stuff like that. It causes oil degradation. The oil is just destroyed in the compressors, which flows through the system, plugs up the fixed orifice metering devices, turns into a nightmare. There is no way to properly clean one of these fixed orifice metering devices. Trust me, I know there's a lot of people out there, and even I too thought that you could heat them up and blow some nitrogen through and problem solved, you know, but it's not true. Cut open one of those actuator metering devices. What you're going to find is that there is two orifices within a half inch of each other, two small orifices. So let's just use the dumb logic that my brain uses, okay? You've got high pressure liquid refrigerant going through one orifice, it flashes, goes into a small little cavity, then it has to flash again, or build pressure, then flash again, and then go to the evaporator. It goes through a double orifice in one of those actuator metering devices. So how on earth are you going to build up the pressure, heat up the thing, melt the wax of the oil that you think is stuck inside of that, then get it to rebuild and then push through the second orifice and make it through that evaporator? Once I cut one of those open, I realized that you are not going to clean those things, okay? The only way that you could potentially clean one of those is if you only had something stuck in the first orifice and you were able to successfully somehow backwards pressurize through the suction line and blow out that restriction, the little piece of whatever, and then get it to come all the way out the line so that way you can collect it, then pull the evacuation, and it's just not going to work. Yeah, let's say you did get it cleared out. You get it cleared out, you backwards blow it. Did it come out completely, or is it still in the walls of the system so that way when the liquid refrigerant starts going through it again, it's just going to plug it up again? Like, you're really not going to clean these things. And I realize a lot of people that are watching this are going to say, convert it to a TXV. There's not a kit for this carrier, this particular carrier unit, for a TXV conversion that I know of. And every time I say that, people send me emails, and thank you for sending me the emails. I appreciate it. But I'm not going to throw in a Train TXV conversion kit in this because it's not going to be sized right, right? I'm not going to throw in a carrier conversion kit for another model that doesn't have enough feeder tubes for the distributor, or I'm not going to make my own distributor. I like to do things right. I don't want to go in there and mad scientist this unit, because then how does one of my technicians work on it? How does the next guy work on it? It just creates a logistical nightmare for a service company to come in behind me and try to repair it. To each their own. If that's the way that you do things, so be it. I'm just not a fan of MacGyvering a unit like this, making it hard for the next guy, okay? If there was a kit that I could properly convert this over to a TXV, I'd do it in a heartbeat. I just have yet to find that kit. If you guys have a kit for a 7.5 ton carrier package unit, let me know. But I don't think that you're going to come up with the right model number for this unit. Regardless, I did my best. We cleaned the evaporator, cleaned the condenser, split the condenser. While I was in there, I went ahead and cleaned out the drain pan, because forbid this thing start to condensate a bunch, then that water has nowhere to go. It overflows into the ductwork. That's not what I want. So I did my best, and we are just still in the process of, and like I said, the customer told me just order the units, but it's not that easy, and that's what we've explained to them. We've got to, the logistics of, you know, having to figure all this stuff out is a nightmare, okay? Because this is an uppity neighborhood with fancy rich people all around it, and yeah, it's just going to be a headache. Try to bring in a helicopter, that's not going to work. Try to shut down a city street, you can, but that's going to be a process. Nobody wants you doing it in their uppity neighborhood when it inconveniences them from getting their latte in the morning, you know? So So yeah, it's an interesting thing, and we've got you know, dilemmas here, but it will happen eventually when we get the time and once everything's all figured out. And there's more to it than just the parking structure thing. There's a whole bunch of crap. But anyways, I really appreciate you making it to the end of the video. Thank you so very much for watching. If you have any suggestions, any feedback, feel free to leave them in the YouTube comments. I'm 100% okay with criticism as long as it's constructive and not just being a jerk. If you don't want to leave it in the comments, shoot me an email, hvacrvideos@gmail.com. I'm always open to suggestions, always looking to learn. Hey, the older I get, I just turned 42, the older that I get, the more I actually like being wrong. Because if I find out that I don't know how to do something right, or I've been doing something incorrect, it's an opportunity to learn something new. And hey, I'm down with that. Like, if I can learn a better way of doing something, if I've been doing something wrong, please give me some advice. I'm 100% willing to listen and entertain the idea of something new, okay? If you are interested in supporting this channel, there's a bunch of different ways to do so, but the easiest way to support this channel is literally just watch the videos from beginning to end, okay? You can also support it financially through PayPal, Patreon, YouTube channel memberships. Those are all different ways you can make monthly or one-time commitments to the channel. There's links in the show notes of this video. You can also support the channel by going to my website, hvacrvideos.com. You know, social media creators, I rely on YouTube AdSense. That I get 90% of my revenue from YouTube AdSense. The other portion of it is merch and sponsorships, okay? But I don't try to push the sponsorships too much because I don't want to have to sell weird stuff to people, right? I like working with the manufacturers that I do work with because they don't ask me to do anything crazy. They don't ask me to do TikTok dances or dance on top of, you know, just anything weird. I don't want to do that stuff. To each their own. If that's what you do, cool. No, you know, go for it. But I try to keep it limited. So as a social media creator, you know, all content creators, for instance, this is a channel that I follow, my wife and I follow. It's called Keep Your Daydream. It's about a husband and wife. Sorry, you guys probably got the sound of a lifetime when I pulled the microphone off, but it's a traveling YouTube family. They used to have children with them, but now all the children have moved out and it's just the husband and the wife, and they travel around the country in an RV and sometimes around the world. And I support them because I buy their merch. You know, I love their channel. And, you know, any social media creators that you watch, not just me, any other ones, if they have merch, buy their merch, help to support them, use their affiliate links, you know, use their different stuff, because every little bit helps with social media creators, right? I'm not one to e-beg or anything like that. I know there's a lot of people out there that are going to do it on a regular. Hence why I only address, for the most part, I'd say 99% of the time, I only address supporting the channel at the end of my video. Notice that? Because you people that are watching to the end right now are the people that truly made it through the video. You guys, like, if I had to guess, 10% of the people make it to the end of the video, of the people that watch. The other people don't, okay? So that's why I put this at the end, because I don't want to beg people, and I don't want you to feel like every video is a merch thing. Now, I do occasionally mention my merch at the beginning, maybe when something new comes in or we're doing something new. Yeah, then I'll bring it up every once in a blue moon. But I hope that you guys get the sentiment that I'm not e-begging, and I'm not trying to shove everything down your throat. If you guys want to support the channel, so be it. But that's why I say the easiest way to support this channel is literally just watch the videos from beginning to end. That is the easiest way. Costs a little bit of your time, none of your money, right? But anyways, check out my website, hvacrvideos.com. We got merchandise available. Support your local creators, whoever you watch. Help them out. Last but not least, you see any tools that I used in this video that you like? The Viper Venom Packs, the spray gun, the foam sprayer. I picked that all up from TrueTechTools.com. Go to TrueTechTools.com. I've got an affiliate program set up with them. If you use my offer code BIGPICTURE, that is 2 words put together. Big picture, 1 word. Okay, so no space in between. Use the offer code BIGPICTURE, 1 word, at checkout, and I get a small commission, and you get a nice discount on the majority of the items on their website. There's a few things it doesn't apply to, but it's a great way to help support the channel. I really appreciate you making it to the end of the video. Thank you so very much, and I hope to catch you on the next one.